And welcome back to the Press Star Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. This is episode number 70, and I am joined by my co host, Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, how you doing today? Happy Thanksgiving weekend, guys. I hope y'all had a fun time off and had a great time with friends or family. What a week we had here. It's a pretty quick week, not much in the gaming, rumors, news, or even releases really. It's the week after Thanksgiving, that roundup into the freaking December months, right before Christmas, right before the Game Awards. We've got announcements for the Game Awards, what's coming out, what's going to happen.
Hmm.
It's busy. Here we go. It is the end of the year, and we have some of the biggest drops coming out. But before we talk about them, Vic, I noticed you got here that you played a competition this weekend for Modern Warfare 2. How'd that go?
Man, that was great. Honestly, it was great to get out there with the guys, with the team, and compete in our first official competition. I guess you would say it was
Mhm.
supposed to be a four-team tournament, and where it was 4v4, and that kind of got butchered because the fourth team didn't have enough players. So then the third team they split them up and gave each team two players. So then we had six, and then like one person apparently dropped on each team. So it came down to just 5v5, two teams, and then we played a best of five series as opposed to like a round robin kind of thing, which was what we were going to do. But it was a fun game. We lost the first game in Search and Destroy, even though they fucked up the rules. It's usually whoever wins six games wins the search match, and they had to set up for four. So then like we lost that one, so we didn't have a chance. But then the next
Yeah,
three
you
games,
didn't get that extra round.
right?
Like you could have came back.
Yeah, exactly. But the next three we played. Next one we played Hardpoint, smoked them, and then I
Okay.
started to catch fire like midway through that game, and it just carried on into the next one. When we played TDM, smoked them
Hmm.
dudes for like 22 or 25, and then we followed up the fourth round. We got to choose since we were leading 2-1. We got to choose between Search or Hardpoint, and of course we were going right back into Hardpoint, and we smoked them as well. So we ended up winning the series 3-1 in our first official scrimmage. I guess we're trying to call it now at this point. It was supposed to be a tournament, but turned into more or less like a scrimmage, and
Makes
we did
sense.
really well.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. Nobody can play freaking objective games in there.
Yeah,
Like nobody knows how to play the fucking objectives, it seems, even even in your tournament.
yeah. I mean, they were really aggressive and stuff like that. Like they were
Hmm.
playing the objective. It's just you could just tell who when someone's better, and just the
Yeah.
communication I think was huge on our team. Like we were communicating really well, and just my team, my four players were playing really aggressive on the objective. And we talked beforehand if we were going to have a majority of them playing aggressive, that one of us could play off of the objective and play more of aggressive for kills to try and pick them
Hmm.
off. So by the time the enemy team got to the objective, they were already a couple men down, and they're already at a disadvantage in because we had four people on the objective, and they're pushing with one or two. They're probably going to get annihilated because I'm just
Yeah.
picking them off left and right, and that's kind of what I did. I started to become the man on the edges, just picking them off, so they just had absolutely no chance at coming over to the hard point. And then every once in a while, I would just come over there, drop my cluster strike or my SAE on the hard point or whatever it was, and just they just had no chance. Like if even if they wanted to approach my teammates, they were getting fucked up before they can get there anyway. So either way,
Yeah.
it was fun.
Definitely a different environment because when you playing with blues on your team, dude, they're shifting the spawns, they're moving around the map. Nobody wants to play the objective, so it's definitely a different environment. Glad to hear you did well. But I also noticed here you played Plague Tale Requiem. Did we beat it finally?
No, not yet. I'm because I only play about two missions every playthrough. So as
Hmm.
of right now, I did establish my stream schedule, which is going to be official this week. I will be playing a Plague Tale Requiem on my stream Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 6 o'clock, and I play two missions roughly because they take about an hour and a half in total to get through two missions, and that's about a good amount of time because I'm trying to produce enough content for YouTube as well, and those are good intervals to be able to upload with and kind of work and edit with. And then, but I'm probably about halfway done with the game, give or take,
Hmm.
and it's pretty dark. And Amicia is getting more and more angry with the fact that no one can help her brother, and everyone
Yeah.
who tries to help him is just making things worse.
I liked the game, but I didn't like where Amicia started. I did like where she ended the game. I will be honest there. I did actually genuinely like the character development. I just didn't like that they started off at a weird spot for her character development.
Right? She started off very, very hateful and just at the end of Innocence, you were just like she was innocent at that point. Like everything was fine. You
And
beat the big bad guy,
yeah,
and you met up with your mom again, and off into the
and you
sunset you
spent
go.
2 years in calm, sort of relaxed scenario. There wasn't any issues. He's not having any of the rats come back. It's quiet. But
Hmm.
all of a sudden she's just like, boom, I'm angry. And you're like, why?
Why are you
Why are
angry?
we at this point? Why did we jump to an 11 and then step it back to a 6?
Right, right. I'm a little bit past the part where you get the crossbow, and that just changes the game dramatically. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of having enough arrows or not. So that's been fun. And honestly, I need to realize what abilities I have. Like, I feel like they throw so much at you, and I'm like, man, how the fuck did I get through this? And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I have this ability that I can make the fire more intense or something like that. And I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
I forgot.
They pretty much kind of just co-opted the last game and where you were in the last game, and they were like,
Hmm.
okay, we got to give you all your shit back real quick because it has that sort of syndrome most games get where it's like, duh, I forgot how to use my stuff from the previous game. You start up a sequel and you're like, why does my character forget how to use their sling?
Right.
Like,
Well, at least this one, it's not. It's just more or less of not having the materials, which was
yeah.
nice. And like Lucas was always the one to find the materials for you for some reason. He's like, here,
Hmm.
catch this. Now you have that. So it's pretty cool. Or he introduces you to new equipment like that, like firework
Yeah.
that you're like waving around, and like it clears out the rats and stuff like that. So that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to beating it so I can get on to Somerville and Pentiment and everything else that's on my backlog. And of course, we got upcoming games that we're going to talk about here soon. But I see that you had your stream today for As Dusk Falls. How did that go? I didn't want to hop in your stream because that's a game that I do want to play and did not want spoiled.
It's very good. I'm actually really happy that Marshmallow had requested that for my stream. It was definitely worth it. I had a ton of fun playing through the game. I had some people come and go over the course of the stream, but I mostly played with Disney.
Hmm.
She joined in and made a lot of decisions with me, so it was mostly the two of us playing. But the fact that it's Twitch integrated was one of my favorite parts about it. If I genuinely had a bigger audience, I think it would have taken away from the fact that I don't get to make some of the decisions it feels like. But for the
Right.
most part, I got to build my own story. And I honestly think this is probably one of the best story-driven games I've ever played in my life. I have played a lot of visual
Hmm.
novels. I've played a
Yeah.
lot of RPGs. I've played a lot of open-ended games that have a number of endings. And
Yeah.
just the depth of this game, it takes that sort of idea of how can a visual novel be played through? How can you look at all the different paths?
Hmm.
One of the games I associated to was 999, which is the Nonary games, which is a visual novel series that is very much sort of like an I Spy meets visual novel meets, choose your own adventure. But this one had the similar mechanic where you can see all of your choices and see what choices sort of invested into a different choice so you know what to change next time you need to play through. And I really like that there's going to be 6 chapters, 2 books or 2 acts, and just the fact that the game, each chapter can end so different from different parts and then still come back and continue the story so well, I really genuinely enjoyed it. And the fact that there are achievements for all the different endings, so some of them felt good, some of them felt
Hmm.
terrible, but I was totally invested in this game. I didn't feel myself falling asleep, didn't feel myself bored, too busy, watching my stream. I was more or less just, I'm in the game, dude. I'm enjoying
Yeah.
it, and my stream is here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games I want to check out, and I thought this would be a game that you would thoroughly enjoy. But I do agree if you have a bigger audience, that would have a more impact on your story because I think you have the ability to override the Twitch integration controls like
Three
what
times.
3 times, and like that could be like drastic if you have a bigger audience that are in there overriding your choices, and you're like, do I go with their choice or do I override this one and go with this other choice? And like you got to pick and choose when to interfere with that as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to see that.
And it definitely is interesting because you get one vote. Your Twitch, every person in your Twitch chat gets one vote. Now, theoretically, I could get 2 votes by typing into my Twitch chat and clicking on the
Hmm.
screen, but I'm not that worried about it. So I just clicked on screen. And so it sometimes came down to a 50-50 shuffle. And like honestly, the story, there were so many times I'm like, oh, they're gonna do this. They're not gonna do this just like straightforward answer. No, they did. Like there were moments where I'm like, no, no, she isn't doing that. Oh my God, she is.
Yeah.
She literally is doing this. Why is she doing this? Oh my God. And then you're just watching it like, oh, this is a train wreck and I can't stop it.
Right. And it's an interesting art style too, because it's like one of those what is it called, stop motion, I think, graphics, where it's like it's hand
Hmm.
drawn and it's like a still image, but it has like these moving characteristics to it.
But the hand
Um,
drawn also looks so realistic that I'm
yeah.
like, are these just photos that they've doctored?
Right.
They look like actual photos that are doctored. They look really good.
Yeah, and this is on Game Pass still, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
Yeah, so
yep,
it's
and it's on
definitely
sale for $15 if you buy it.
right. So it's definitely a game that I would recommend checking out, even though I have not played it. But I've seen a lot of good reviews behind this, and then from hearing from you, this is definitely a game to check out. I did see that you also continue to play through Dune Spice Wars. How has that been going? Has it been getting better, or is it just kind of getting like
I actually completed one of my playthroughs, which is nice. Like I won the game once, but it's
okay,
it's an interesting game. I don't think I'll go back to it unless they do any changes in like the final version, but like I just wanted to see what it would be like to play a game straight through.
hmm
Um, you hit a certain point in the game where it gets pretty freaking easy to play and it just sort of plays itself. They don't give you all the information when you start, so like by the time you're halfway through your first run, you're like, oh, I did this wrong, or oh, there's more than three buildings, there's five. Oh,
oh,
okay, let me replay my strategy. Oh, I can, I get to do this, this, and this. Okay. Oh, by the end, I was sitting there with so much water, I didn't know what to do with it. And that was without owning the polar ice cap in the game.
oh, jeez, that's insane.
So it was definitely a weird game with some of the dynamics, but like
hmm
I definitely felt like the AI is heavily weighted against you,
Right, right.
even if somebody else is winning, but I was just so fast that they couldn't keep up.
hmm Yeah, yeah, for sure. Other games here I see on your list here. You've been playing a lot of games. It's fucking insane. God of
I
War
got nine
Ragnarok.
games.
How's Ragnarok been?
Ragnarok's good. I think the biggest issue, the community hits it on the head with on Reddit. I notice it's like, oh, here comes another puzzle. Can't wait to hear how everyone tells me how to do the puzzle. You're like sitting there trying to figure out the puzzle, and then your allies are like, "Hey, maybe you should throw your axe here." And it's like, "Shut the fuck up
Let
and
me
let
solve
me
it.
figure it out. Please, please just shut the fuck up for a minute." You get lit on fire every time a status effect gets completed on you, whether that be you accumulated a full bar of ice damage, which means you get slowed and iced, or you get lit on fire or stunned. Every time a status effect fills up the bar and it happens, they're like, Kratos, you're on fire, but it will pass. And you're like, yes, I know I am on fire. Thank you. I am literally feeling my skin peeling off. Thank you for letting me know I'm on fire.
Do you think it's still Game of the Year worthy?
I definitely like, other than the gameplay elements of it, the story is genuinely good. It is a good continuation of the last one, but I haven't beaten the game. And like, as I've said to so many people before, it really all depends on how the game sticks the landing. Because at this point, they've done a triple backflip. I'm like, this is awesome. This is so cool. But I'm waiting. It could just fall on its face and that's it. The game's fucked. But
Yeah.
like, there are so many moments where like you're watching this and you feel for the characters, you feel sad, you feel happy, you want to
hmm
be, you want to experience their experiences, and it feels like a great game. And then other moments you're just like, wow, please shut the fuck up.
yeah.
So it's definitely better than Elden Ring in some aspects, but I find Elden Ring better in other aspects. Like Elden Ring just let me play the fucking game.
Right.
It was quiet, nobody bothered me. I went and talked to the
Nothing
people I
bothers
wanted
you
to talk to.
in
Yes,
Elden Ring.
nothing bothered me except the things that wanted to kill me, and I killed them.
Right. Not even the map. Like even Elden Ring's map is insanely like blank, pretty much.
Yeah,
But one of your last games here on the list that we wanted to talk about here is Pokemon. Obviously, Scarlet and Violet. How's that playthrough been going on? Have you beat it yet? I guess at this point.
definitely interesting. So I haven't beaten it. I'm about, I'd say, a third of the way through the game. It's definitely super fun. As Disney says here, it is a really good game, but I think the problem is the more I play it, I see what the community's issues are with it. I see the issues with the game. The game does feel bad in some aspects because, like, look at Breath of the Wild. It had very similar characteristics, but somehow Breath of the Wild played way better, was less laggy, rendered
Hmm.
better. There were just so many better things about Breath of the Wild that where did this go? This is like 6 years ago now, five or
Yeah,
6 years
right.
for Breath of the Wild, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's more than insane. Like, and yet we're looking at this Pokemon game, and there are a lot of issues graphically. Like the game is slow. It's not challenging. Like I can count on the finger the number of trainers I fought with more than three Pokemon, and it is five. One dude I randomly found had three Pokemon and almost sweeped me.
Oh, really?
And then yeah, just some random dude on the roads like throws out a fucking Psyduck, and the Psyduck's like insta KOing everyone on my team. And I was like, please stop. I don't know what's going on here. He's going faster than me and he's sweeping one hit. And I'm like, please, can you just
That seems a bit
stop?
buggy. That shouldn't. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound
And
like
then
it should.
other gyms or other people, it's just like one hit, they're dead. Now, the game really prides itself on the ability to go any direction you want to take the game. But the
Right.
problem is, like, if I go one way or the other, I still have to go to the other side. So the idea is you go around both sides of the island and you
Hmm.
can, like, go one way or the other way. Well, the problem is you're supposed to go up a little bit, come back, go up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit, finish.
Okay. That's
But the
interesting.
problem with that is, like, they don't clearly make that known. Like you just start going in, you're like, okay, this is 10, 15, 20, 25, 45. You're like, wait, how did the enemies get to level 45 already? What the fuck happened? Like
Right.
I randomly just took a detour through this cave and the enemies went from 25 to 45. And I was like, that's not correct.
Right.
So now you're supposed to go up and around, then come back down after you've gone up here and down here, then here, then
Whatever
here. And it's
happened to
like,
just blocking off the sections where you can't get to them, like the old classic Pokemon, the Snorlax getting in the way? Like that,
mm-hmm.
like they need to do stuff like that, or the HMs. Like I know how like you rent Pokemon now, so like there's no longer a need to have a Pokemon to know Surf and Cut and Fly and all that other stuff. So it's just like that took away from like such a key part to the Pokemon game. Like that was strategic as hell of having a Pokemon that could Rock Smash and
Yeah.
Strength and Cut
and
and shit like that.
and like the fact that random opponents weren't just like single Pokemon enemies. Like they had two, three, four people in their team. Like Sword and Shield started it where it was like the only person in the entire game that had a six Pokemon team was the champion.
Interesting.
No one else in the game had six Pokemon. Not even your rival, I don't think, had six Pokemon.
That's weird because I feel like all of the previous generations always had tons of
Your
trainers that
rival,
had six. Like I would run
like
into the like bug trainers that would have six Caterpies or Weedles and shit like that. Like, why is that not
you're
in the game?
like I guess I'll sweep this kid,
Right.
randomly. But now it's just like, here's my Mankey. And you're like, okay, it's dead. And they're like, I lost. And I was like, yeah, I have six Pokemon, dude.
You were
If
going
I
to lose.
didn't beat your one Mankey, you better have had a sweep ready Mankey. That shit should have one shot everything.
Yeah, like that doesn't
It's
make any
just
sense.
so dumb. And like I want the game to be better than it is, and I think there was a lot of time lost in developing this game. I think you can't blame COVID anymore because like
Not at that point.
it, we're 2 years past the real big part of COVID at this point. You've had a year and a half, 2 years to really get together and start developing
Yeah.
and fixing this game. This game could have used another year in development, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That I talked to a couple people at work that I told you that were getting the game, and they feel like the game was unoptimized. And like I told them, I was like, we didn't need another Pokemon game this year. Like we just had Diamond and Pearl remake last year. We had Legends of Arceus at the beginning of the year, and now we have Scarlet and Violet. Like we didn't need three Pokemon games in like a year. We just didn't. You could have spaced these games out. Like I remember when we got a new Pokemon game like every 3 years or whatever the hell it used to be.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 5 years, like Gen 1 to Gen 2 was quite a distance between the two of
Yeah.
them. So it it definitely could have used more time, but I am still like I still enjoy the game. There are a lot of just really game defining mechanics that I can't look away and say this game is a complete clusterfuck. I gotta be honest, like the fact that Pokemon are just out and about in the wild and you can walk up to them and a fight starts right there. The fact that co-op exists. There are so
Hmm.
many good features that I hope we don't lose. We just got the Pokemon game we want.
Yeah,
Optimize it. Honestly, if you gave me over the next year just optimizations and then a DLC for this, I would be happy with that. I would pay for a DLC if you optimize this game and then
yeah,
gave me a DLC.
yeah. We'll see if that happens. Last game here on the list that we both played. Obviously, we play every Monday, which we may or may not play tomorrow. We'll see how our plans will
Yeah,
change up
that's
with
what I
that.
was thinking too.
But Valorant, this past Monday when we played, they actually weren't bad games, but dude, the game just feels so different because we're so used to playing Overwatch 2 and Modern Warfare 2 or Warzone 2,
Yeah,
all these
it's
2
definitely a
games.
whole
But
different game. Like I keep going to Reddit and it feels like an echo chamber for like my qualm of the week with the game I'm playing. Like people are like, "Oh, Modern Warfare 2, nobody wants to play the objective." I see that posted on Reddit. Oh, Overwatch 2, here's the issue, the store sucks. Okay, what do I do after the battle pass is done? People are complaining about where's the progression in the game. Like
mhm,
each game I play has a nice different dichotomy of what's good and what's bad. But like Valorant, the thing that gets me is just like everyone's like, we play Overwatch 2, we play Modern Warfare, we play all these other shooter games. Why is the spray in this game fucking horrendous?
yeah,
That is, it's starting to drive me nuts now because like I'm sitting here playing the other games and I'm like, okay, I can keep my cursor there. But the fact that I have to stop moving and like do these min-maxi micromanagement movements just to be able to shoot my gun more accurately feels stupid.
right.
It
You have a
really is
full auto
starting to get
gun.
annoying. And the Smurfs. Don't get me started on the smurfing in the game. It's so I'm so over it at this point that I don't know if I want to keep going. It
Right,
feels rough.
right. I mean, hell, we even had a sweaty lobby this past Monday when there was 2 plats on the other team, but they had a silver player to, I guess, to balance it out, which was really
Yeah.
weird. But
And like the problem is like we're playing as a two stack. How did a silver end up in our lobby? Like two plats and a silver. That dichotomy should not exist. But we're in this weird elo as well where we're almost like halfway through gold,
mhm.
but the game's like, are you gold? Are you diamond? Are you plat? Or are you silver? And I'm like, what happened to gold? And they're like, that doesn't really exist. That's just a
Yeah.
made up elo.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how we got into a lobby like that. Like maybe the plats paired up together, and then like the 2 golds and the 1 silver loaded up together. Like you can do that. That would make
Yeah.
sense. But when we run into a lobby where there's a bronze in the lobby somewhere, completely blows my mind because theoretically should
I
not be
can't even
allowed
play
to.
with a bronze friend, but they're like, they exist in a gold lobby, and I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Why are they here? Because that happened to people like Spooky Crew in our games, where they're bronze. We queue up together in a 5 stack, and all of a sudden he's there. But that's the only way he can get into those lobbies. Otherwise, his MMR is gold, is high silver gold, and then he's getting, he's a bronze rating, and it doesn't want to move him out of it.
yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be fixed because I could see us like drifting away from playing Valorant and just starting streaming Call of Duty on Mondays from six
Yeah,
to nine.
yeah, I'd rather just play Warzone for 3 hours. Like
Yeah, Warzone, fucking DMZ, or even
I get
multiplayer.
less agitated, honestly. Like I scream and holler at Call of Duty, but I still have at the end of the game, I'm like, man, fuck blue. But at least I was only in that match for 10
10 minutes,
minutes.
yeah, if that. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
like you could still do your thing and still go ham or whatever. Like we literally yesterday, I think it was me, Miko, and Maul playing, and we had like 3 minutes plus on the objective. We were playing hardpoint, and our 3 blues had zero, zero. All 3 of them had fucking zero, and we still won, and it was just crazy. But it's just because like we're that fucking good at balancing that out. Like we all don't have to be on the hard point; we can
You
be
gotta
around
just
it.
do the actual objective of the game. And I think like even then it's still fun. Like I went 20 kills without dying the other day and I was like, man, I hate this gun, blah blah blah. And I changed up my kill streak. I was like, wait, how you tell me Harrier is like cheaper than some of these other kill streaks? All right, fine, throw that on. I'm sitting there, it's sitting there for like 2 minutes flying over the objective.
Yeah,
I was like, I guess I'll just take free kills here.
yeah. That motherfucker is way too overpowered, especially if you don't have cold blooded. Yeah, GG's. But
GG's, yeah.
let's move on here to the upcoming game releases. There's actually a decent amount, and there's a couple handful here that are pretty solid. That are, in my opinion, pretty big. What do you have? What are you excited for, Roger?
All right, well, let's start off with the big things this week. Let's at
Yeah.
least talk about what's big this week. We've got Dark Tide finally releasing for everyone who did not buy the game early. So, for example, if you did not get it on Steam, you did not get the beta access. If you're waiting to play it on Game Pass for free, or you want to get it on some of the other systems, it's now releasing completely. This is the official version, not beta anymore. That drops on November 30th. That's one of the biggest things for me, what gets me excited about this week.
Mm-hmm.
So on Wednesday, we'll see that drop. Next, we've got Marvel Midnight Suns. That launches on Friday. That's a big one. That's going to be an XCOM clone, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It is not going to be on Game Pass along with the other two games we have here coming out on Friday. That's Need for Speed Unbound as well as the Callisto Protocol. All of these games will be on PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S. The Callisto Protocol will also be, though, on PS4 and Xbox One, and all of which will be on PC as well. None of which are coming to Game Pass, and they will all be full price tags.
Yeah, which sucks because that's pretty steep to try and spend
That's
70.
180 bucks for
Yeah,
a single week in gaming.
that's if they're $60 a piece, and
Yeah.
not the $70 price tag that I'm probably thinking they're going to be at this point. But dude, they released some gameplay for Need for Speed Unbound, and I'm like, dude, is Need for Speed back? Cause it's looking fucking good. I'm like, yo, this reminds me of like Underground 2 days when
hmm
that was just like it. I used to want to come home from school and that's all I would want to play was Need for Speed Underground, and Unbound seems like it could be the return of the franchise, and I just love the anime aesthetic to it, but it still has like that hyper realism look to it as well. Like
hmm
it has like a pretty interesting blend. But out of the three big games on Friday the second, which one are you looking forward to playing the first? I guess or the most. I know it's a tough one.
Warhammer Dark Tide is the one I care about most this week, but if I had to choose about the releases on Friday, it's going to be Callisto Protocol for me, I think,
Mm-hmm.
here. I'm not really looking to play a racing game right now. I'm not really looking to buy Marvel Midnight Suns because like it could flop really hard.
Like,
If it's anything like XCOM, it could be hit or miss, really, honestly. But
yeah,
the Callisto Protocol looks genuinely good. I'm excited for this game because this looks like the horror game we want and the horror game we deserve.
right.
But don't get me wrong, it could flop.
It could, but I don't know, man. I mean, this is coming from the OG developers and creators of the original Dead Space, which is getting a remake, ironically, which releases in January. And I do agree, this game looks really phenomenal. And I'm really excited for it. I just don't know which one I want to pick up first. Like, I'm really stuck right now. I have no idea which one I wanted to play first. But other than that, other games that are coming out, we got Last Days of Lazarus coming to the PS5 on November 29th, along with Sable, which is a game I played and beat, finally coming to the PS5 as well. I definitely recommend playing that one. We got Soccer Story on the 29th, coming to basically all platforms. The Night Witch coming to all platforms as well on the 29th. But then on the 30th, they get a couple releases here. Front Mission First remake coming to the Switch. So again, Switch just getting another one of those classic games coming on over. Gundam Evolution now officially coming to the console because it is already out on PC. So that one's like one of those arena based like Overwatch kind of shooters, but in Gundam style. And of course, you already covered Warhammer Dark Tide on the 30th, but then on the first, we got Inscription coming to the Switch. This is a pretty highly reviewed game, critically acclaimed game, so definitely want to check that one out. And then we got The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution coming both to the Quest and the PSVR on the first. And then I guess we can't forget about the Resident Evil Village Winters expansion, officially coming to the Switch. That just recently released on all other consoles the last week, I think it was, or 2 weeks ago. Um, I think it was. I can't really remember. But other than that, those are all of the releases. So I think it's kind of a big week for releases, especially with those four games with Warhammer,
Yeah.
um, Midnight Suns, Need for Speed, and the Callisto Protocol. We got a couple big games here. But moving on here, we got some industry news. Of course, we're going to kick it right off with our favorite segment of the news here is Activision and Blizzard. We got an update here where the U.S. basically FTC is likely to intervene with the antitrust lawsuit to prevent this acquisition by Microsoft. and it'll be interesting to see. First of many, that current chair Lena Khan has vowed to toughen on it in the tech space. So current chair believes the tech space is getting too monopolized, which I can see. Microsoft has been buying up a lot, but I feel like this is just one that makes sense, that is needed just in the sake of how toxic Activision Blizzard is, and it needs a clean house. So it just needs this
I
fresh start.
I I get where you're going with this, but on the same point, like this FTC chair has she said that she wants to be tougher in the tech space, but like you can't play favorites at that point.
Right.
She's trying to help break up these big companies, like we see Meta, we
Right.
see Twitter, we see all these different big tech spaces. Just they're giants and they're really hard to approach unless they implode, like Twitter. So, when do you start? And I guess at this point, this is one of the biggest acquisitions we have by another big tech company.
Hmm.
Like Twitter, for example, was just a single purchase by a single person, and it wasn't really like a merger. But we're talking about a merger here. This is a giant game producer joining under another even bigger game producer. So, when do we start saying enough is enough? You have enough studios.
Right, right, for sure. Yeah, I don't know where that line definitely gets drawn. But some more coverage here. It says Activision Blizzard will fight for the merger to be completed. So basically, the COO Lulu Merzave has basically said that they want to make sure that this goes through. Basically, they want a clean house as well. That's what it really sounds like. They understand that
Yeah,
the
even
CEO.
Activision Blizzard, the COO, wants the acquisition to go through. So she wants the company to be bought. And she says it's also unlikely that the US FTC will win in the courts if they go there.
Right. Yeah, I definitely
So
agree.
even though she wants to stop it, it's probably not gonna.
Yeah. And then Sony also weighed in. Of course, they had to put their 2 cents into this. It says Microsoft would be able to increase console and game prices for Xbox users, including those that switch from PlayStation, which is interesting enough because like they're worried about Xbox increasing their console prices and their subscription prices, but aren't they the ones that just increased the price of their own console?
Well, the idea is that Microsoft is playing the good guy right now. So, like, oh, look, Microsoft, see, they're going to buy up these companies. They're not even increasing prices, they're not making the market worse.
Hmm.
But Sony's just like, hey, once they finish this acquisition, what's to stop them from being like, all right, well, now we're done. Let's play the bad guy for a little bit.
Yeah.
What's to stop them from giving up this good guy act and just being like, haha, it was me all along, Microsoft.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to really necessarily raise the prices of the consoles, but I think we're going to see an increase of Game Pass for sure. That's just, it makes sense because we're starting to add a lot of value, and if they're adding basically Activision Blizzard to Game Pass, that's a huge, like, that's just an astronomical, like, increase to the value of Game Pass, so they definitely got to add that on over. But it says Sony is still worried about Microsoft is pulling games from the Sony catalog, which where I don't think so. Like I don't understand why they're even worried about that. Like even Microsoft has agreed to put out a new 10-year agreement to keep
Mhm.
Call of Duty on PlayStation, and they also said that as long as there's a PlayStation to put at Call of Duty on, they're going to do it anyway. So it's just like here's an official 10-year document, but we want to promise you to give it as long as you still exist. So I don't know. Sony's
Yeah,
just
and
at a
Microsoft also followed through and says, this whole point is untrue because they look at Bethesda games. Ghostwire Tokyo was still a timed exclusive
mhm.
for PlayStation, even though Microsoft owns the studio.
Yeah, same thing with Deathloop. Deathloop
Yeah.
came to Xbox years later because they had to honor what was already in place. So like
Mhm.
it makes sense. Like Microsoft will honor that kind of stuff. They're definitely not going to go down that route. But last up here in regards to Xbox, Apple also has that lawsuit with Epic Games and whatnot, and they're launching the UK is all launching an investigation into Apple's block of the Xbox Game Pass app, because like right now if you want to play Game Pass apps you have to like go through the browser to play through, like that's the workaround, but like Apple won't allow them to have an official app on their app store because then Apple loses their any purchases that are made on that app, I guess they don't get a cut from per se, and they want to make sure that they get their cut. And UK is like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't sound right because then that would sound like a monopoly if they would have to you would get a cut of their purchase, like their sales and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. Because like to me, you got to look at the platform as like the iPhone should have multiple stores, just like a PC has multiple stores, like the Steam and the different launchers and stuff like the Epic Game Store. So there should be
But then
multiple.
on the same aspect, you've got an Xbox. Can I go to the PlayStation store to buy games on my Xbox?
Not
You
yet.
can't.
I
Not
wouldn't.
yet. Now, I don't get me wrong. Maybe they have to at one point, but like what I'm getting at is still, Apple owns that device, like that device's software. Like
Hmm.
they built that platform. So if you want to play on that platform, you have to play their games, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm hopefully they can just work something out, like some kind of
hmm
deal. But Roger, what's going on over in the Sony world?
Sony has decided that it's going to continue investing in Chinese development programs that found games like Genshin Impact. They've decided to put in a roughly 1 million yuan, which is about 140,000 USD. So they're looking to continue developing some of these third-party, studios in the Chinese development space. So like Chinese game developers, things like that.
Right,
But
because
also,
apparently they want to
go ahead.
compete with Microsoft, is what they also said.
Yes.
That's why they want to do that, which makes sense. Got to keep up with your competitors, especially if
Yeah,
Xbox is on
they're
this
losing the
train.
race for studios.
Yeah,
Microsoft has so many studios. What does Sony have? Nothing really.
they have a couple pretty solid diamonds, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's more rough than diamonds there.
Yeah,
But turns out the Hondas now will have could have a built-in PS5. So Sony is looking to collaborate with Honda to include a PlayStation 5 in their new cars.
yeah. I don't get it. Like, like,
I mean,
I,
Tesla was doing it with their stuff. They're like, oh, play your games in the Tesla.
yeah,
I think the idea is like the new electric cars, when you have to charge your car, it's not like a gas station. You just don't fill up the tank and go. You have to wait 30
yeah.
minutes to an hour for your car to fill up. So now you have to include that in your trip. So it gets a little more difficult. But now when you're stopped, you at least can do something more than just playing on my phone
Right. Yeah, but
or reading a book.
your car's charging, so then you're using the electricity that it's trying to refill to game. I just don't see the. I don't know. It could work. Don't get me wrong, but until they can make sure that everybody has an accessibility to getting a PS5 off the shelf, they might not want to put these in Hondas just yet.
I mean, we're looking at the, nature's return to sort of a balance here with the PS5s. A lot more of him started showing up in the wild. Like you
Hmm.
can almost go to one of the stores around here, around us. There's a PS5 almost in every store now.
Yeah.
Just too expensive.
Yeah, especially at five. Well, they're still at 500 here in the U.S., but other
But
countries they're not.
what I mean is though, 500 is still a lot of fucking money. That's half a grand.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. That's why you should get an
Yeah, like
Xbox Series S for three,
I mean,
or
yeah, but
or,
then you
or
have to pay
200 right now.
15 bucks, for Game Pass to actually make it, worth it really.
Right.
Otherwise, you have to buy all your games digitally, and yeah, you can do that. But
Most people buy them digitally anyway. Even me, I have the Series X, and I don't own that one next gen physical copy of a game.
last but not least here as well, talking about mobile apps and then getting development, new studios, things like that. Netflix has decided to open a new AAA studio in California and is looking to make a PC game, not a mobile game. So this is interesting. It's a
Yeah.
AAA studio from Netflix looking to make an actual AAA game as opposed to their
Right.
mobile studio. So is Netflix the next big Microsoft? I
No.
jest, but
Yeah.
you get what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely see. And I wonder if, like, with them saying like a PC game, like, is it ever going to come to console, or is it strictly PC, or how is this
hmm
going to play out? Honestly, but
Am I going to be able to boot up my my Netflix app on Xbox to boot into this game from the Netflix app? Who knows?
yeah,
Like,
maybe.
we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see for sure. But yeah, man, that's all the industry news. So let's move on here to our gaming news. And Roger, if you want to go ahead and kick us off with Valheim, had some good news come
Sure.
out recently.
Yeah, so Valheim has just released the Mistland updates into the public test realm. With the Mistland updates, we're going to get new creatures and a boss. We're going to get crafting, building items. We're going to get magic, food, and new mead. So this is a lot of just like core functionality for the game. There's going to be new weapons, magic weapons, new armor, new character customizations, and a rework to the fishing in the game. So we're looking at a lot of big changes here. And this is Remember, public test, so be careful. The game is still subject to change.
Yeah.
But if you want to play it, you can toggle your Steam account to play the beta version now.
Are you going to check this out, or are you still going to wait until Valheim has its
I'm gonna
official
wait till
release?
it goes. I'm gonna wait till it leaves beta, I think, because I don't want to start playing and then have my save become uncompatible or things like that.
Right, right. Makes sense. But over on another game that I know that we play from time to time is Dreamlight Valley. They're getting an upcoming update with Buzz and Woody coming to Dreamlight Valley on December 6th. So about a week, little over a week, I guess. So that'll be
Hmm.
pretty cool to see because it's also the what 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary of
Toy
Toy
Story.
Story. Yeah, so can't
Hmm.
believe it's been that long already, man. We're getting old.
Yeah, we are. But so it's an interesting update. Now jumping back to one of the releases for this week, Callisto Protocol. There was a an article released last month that we kind of held on to here. So for those of you looking to play Callisto Protocol this week, it is going to be a 12 to 14 hour campaign. Quite interesting. It's not too
Perfect.
long, not too short, and it's like a kind of a perfect breed, I think, for the horror genre. It'll
Hmm.
be a nice, great length. And there's also going to be a season pass for this game. So I guess, you know, I haven't really followed too closely to the game modes, and I thought this was just going to be primarily a single player game. But I guess there's going to be extra content or multiplayer, and in this multiplayer and season pass, we're gonna see things like player death animations that cause this game to get a horrifying rating in Japan, for example.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, like usually, like even Assassin's Creed Valhalla has a season pass, and it's has nothing to do with multiplayer, and it's just really to include any DLC expansion, like story
Hmm.
expansions that come out later on. So I assume that that's what's going to cover. But there's no really any other details in regard to it because this was recently added to the game's Steam page, and it only showcases that you're going to get new death
Death
animations.
animations.
So we'll see. We'll cover that whenever we get some more details on that.
Next up, Bayonetta. So we had the controversy that kind of went around back and forth, and
Hmm.
the game went out, the game released, kind of was quiet, not a big launch. Bayonetta 4 is already in the works though.
Hmm.
So we're already looking at the game having a sequel. So we'll see where that goes. But, you know, Vic, talking about season passes here, Fall Guys. What's going on with Fall Guys?
Hey man, they getting their third season, which I can't believe they're only on number three. You would think by now they would be on like 13 or something, but their new season is called Sunken Secrets because you're going to be going underwater. This will be like an underwater theme, and of course with that, well, first thing that comes to my mind when I think about it is SpongeBob, and they are getting a crossover event of some sort, maybe a couple levels, but they are going to be a cosmetic where you can become SpongeBob. So check that out soon. I think it's out now or it's coming out soon, but that'll be something interesting because actually interesting enough, S2W or Shoot to Win has a tournament coming up with Meshed Media that we're participating in. So be on the lookout for that when I do stream that kind of tournament for Fall Guys.
Cool. All right. So, Nintendo. Let's jump around to some of these big developers here. Let's start with Nintendo, though.
Hmm.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was the UK's biggest physical game launch this year. It is also the second biggest Pokemon release in the UK ever, um, only following Sun and Moon. And there's already a duplication glitch though that allows you to also duplicate shiny Pokemon, which
Yeah,
is quite crazy. So the market players are always looking to break Pokemon games, and they've done it again.
yeah, they sure have. This doesn't like it. Just like that's crazy that they have a duplication for shinies because like those are supposed to be hard to come by, and when you're trying to trade them and
Well,
stuff like that, like you should have a scarcity, like an artificial scarcity of not having it. But now if you can just clone them unlimitedly, you're just like, all right, cool, I can just send this out and get whatever I need back in return.
yeah. No, it's always been a problem with Pokemon games. We've always had Game Shark and things like that. So has
Yeah,
it really,
it hasn't
is it
changed.
really new to find a cheater in Pokemon?
No.
So, let's move on to Mario Kart though. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has finally got the third wave of DLC. This is going to be 8 courses. We've got Merry Mountain, Peach Gardens, Maple Treeway, Rainbow Road from Mario Kart 7, Rock Road Mountain, Boo Lake, Berlin Byways, and the London Loop, which are all coming out December 7th.
That's pretty cool. That's a lot of courses, honestly, because I think the other ones didn't have this many, if I'm not mistaken. But
No, it's usually I think 2 new cups. So this is 2 cups. That's 8 courses.
okay.
Yeah, which was pretty awesome. I think there's supposed to be 5 new DLCs, and this being the third one. So now we're looking at it's going to be what 40 courses. This is the 24th, the
Hmm.
17th through the 24th course to be added to the game, in addition to the ones that we already had. So this is pretty cool. And moving on from the Mario Kart 8 to the other big Nintendo core stone, Switch Sports, there's a golf update coming. We heard a little bit about this a few
Yeah.
months back, and now we're finally seeing it. It released or releases. Let's see here. It
Tomorrow.
releases tomorrow. It is a golf update with 21 holes. It also has a survival mode where the lowest players in the game get dropped, similar to the bowling game. So
Hmm.
after every few holes, you get dropped out, and the game continues on.
Right. That's pretty cool. I gotta check out the new Nintendo Switch Sports. I heard it's a lot of fun, and if it's
It
anything like
is.
Wii
It's a lot of
Sports, it
fun.
was a lot of fun. But
All
speaking
right,
about
Vic.
other sports,
How?
though, we've got
Yeah.
EA. EA kind of gave an update on their NCAA football game that they're returning with. Obviously, they're trying to still handle all the legal aspects of it to make this happen, because when you use the likeness of a college athlete, they still have to get some kind of compensation for it. So, but they did come out and say that they're not releasing their first one until 2024 now, because it was supposed to release next year. So now they pushed it out another year. My guess is to clean up all this legal stuff would be my guess.
Yeah, we definitely have the college athlete debate still going on. It's not as
Hmm.
loud, but it kind of ebbs and flows with the season of sports and seeing that, you know, athletes in college, should they get paid? Shouldn't they get paid? Are they really getting a full education when they're mostly being geared towards do your sports,
Right.
especially at a AAA, we're looking at really hard to get an education because all you are is a sports star to them.
Yeah, pretty much. And you're raking in millions of dollars for that university, millions of dollars, and then
Millions.
they're not getting anything out of it. And then they're also getting millions of dollars from their students from having to pay to go there. So like, where do they ever pay out to? Never.
No, they're like let's be honest here. Harvard, for example, has been equated to a an investment firm that also teaches people. Like
That's
that's what
great.
it is.
Yeah.
These big universities, all they do is they make a ton of money, they invest it, the board of directors gets bank, and then the students and the teachers really are the ones to suffer at the end of the day because none of the money goes back to them. Even the athletes get screwed.
Yeah. And it sucks. But moving on here to another EA property, Respawn Entertainment did announce that Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the upcoming sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, will be getting its release date announced during the Game Awards. So we will get world premiere announcement at the Game Awards in regards to this game. And dude, I'm excited because didn't you recently play through Fallen Order?
I did actually. I think I played Fallen Order this year,
I think
maybe.
I think it
It's
was, yeah.
honestly, I've
You
beaten
played so
so
many.
many games this year. I'm only 3 games behind the number of weeks there are in this year so far.
Yeah, that's
So
impressive.
honestly, that was one of my favorite games recently in recent times. What an amazing story game, to be honest. I'm
Hmm.
not a huge Star Wars fan. I really honestly could take or leave Star Wars anymore, but this one was good. It felt good. It was fun the whole way through. I liked the dialogue. I'm excited for the sequel.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also because we talk about this all the time, where like the sequel of like the whole, do I lose all of my abilities? Like, do I already have them right away? Do I learn new ones? Like, we'll see how that is handled because that's going to be
Yeah,
a
do I
make or
get
break feature.
amnesia? What's going on?
Like, there's something I bump my head, I turn to the dark side and forget the light stuff. I don't know. Then we come back and we return and we survive. I don't know. I see how this is going. But Roger, CD Project Red dropped some news this week. What's going on?
Yeah, so due to drop in November, The Witcher 3 is getting a next gen update. It comes with quality of life improvements in addition to this being the next gen update. So we're going to see things like changes to how the game's map works. That's one of the biggest changes. They're
My
removing
goodness.
all of the check marks from the map so that the game doesn't feel kind of like a connect the dots on your journey, but more of a natural exploration where the character, you follow your quest, and as you walk through the things start to appear, as opposed to you starting the game and you seeing where
Everything is.
everything is.
That might have been one of the reasons why I literally started the game and fought the first like beast or whatever, is like the griffin, and I was looking
And then
at the
you
map,
looked at the
and
map.
I was like, I don't think this game's for me. Like I would, like there was just an overload of like shit to do, and I was like,
Hmm.
nope. I don't got time for this. This game is already showing to me it's going to be like 90 hours long, that I don't have that kind of time to invest into one game for.
It's a really amazing game
I
and it
know.
can be a lot of hours. If you just play the story versus all the extra stuff, you may come into issues with difficulty and balancing because they expect you to do some side stuff, but now they want you to progress naturally. So it hopefully changes the way the game plays and hopefully makes it feel better. Now,
Hopefully.
this was announced just a little while back. This month, I believe, we talked
Hmm.
about the next gen update being announced. So this is just one of their few updates before we see the next big installment in CD Projekt Red's catalog.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Next up, in regards to Ubisoft, they had two big announcements. I guess here is they're returning to Steam. Before this, they were releasing most of their stuff, I guess, on the Epic Game Store and their Ubisoft store, Ubisoft Connect, which was a pain in the ass to use, which we all know because
I
I was,
mean, like
remember.
everything booted up Ubisoft Connect, but then they were like, you can also buy stuff here, and I was like, no,
No, yeah, because
no, I can't.
remember when we were trying to play Rainbow Six Extraction, and it was just like trying to sign in here and do this and download here, and it
And
was
then it
just,
was like, oh, add your friend, but not that friend, but this
yeah,
account, not this one. You have to
yeah,
use this. Like, it's almost like the Activision account where it's like, wait, why can't I just use my Blizzard account? My Blizzard Activision account. No, no, you can't use that one. You have to use the strictly Activision account. It's like, come on,
yeah.
guys. Where is the unified accounts? Like, it makes it so much easier. I wish there was one platform that had all your gaming profiles. And
That's
this is one
wishful
of
thinking.
those instances why.
Yes. And the other announcement though here, or actually, and with the whole coming to Steam thing, their first games are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Anno 1800, and Roller Champions, and then with more to come later on as well. So, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla is like perfect timing because they're getting their final DLC update content coming out here in December as well. So perfect timing for that. But speaking of Rainbow Six, though, we talked about Operation Solar Raid last week, but some new updates or more details surfaced in regards to this. Cross play and cross progression is finally coming to consoles in December. 7 years later, and we're finally getting a basic feature that's in most games these days.
Like, if you're gonna play these multiplayer games, you need cross progression. Like the fact that like I can't go from one device to another is horrendous.
Right.
If you have a game that doesn't have this, it's stupid. And like I'll give Disney Dreamlight a pass that they made me at least enable this, but like they had it. That was
Yeah.
one of those games that I was like, what happens if I play it on my PC and the Switch? What if I want to play upstairs versus at my computer? They're like, we got you covered, but you have to turn it on. Other games are like, what's a Switch? I'm
Yeah.
playing it on right now. But no, you're on PC, so we don't care about that.
Yeah. That's some bullshit there.
Yeah.
But Rainbow Six competitor here, I guess, is Call of Duty has some news this week. Phil Spencer, this is where we kind of talked about it earlier, but they reiterate that they plan to keep Call of Duty as long as PlayStation still has a console to develop for, and the 10-year deal is official to keep it there as well. But Warzone 2 numbers in the first 5 days of its release, 25 million players came out to play Warzone 2. Doesn't surprise me when the game is free to play, but that is a lot of people that came out to check out Warzone 2, and they're already saying that Al Mazrah is the greatest battle royale map from Call of Duty yet, even beating out Verdansk that everybody loves. But there is a rumor that Verdansk could return into Warzone 2, so that'd be pretty cool to see like a
Yeah, it'd be
flashback.
awesome. Honestly, I really enjoy this map. It just feels very open at times, and it
Yes,
feels like, you know, a sniper's paradise, even
the
though it
snipers are
doesn't
trash,
always.
even though the
Yeah,
snipers are
even though the
trash.
snipers are trash. Yep. So it definitely is an interesting design. I honestly am having a lot of fun in Warzone, and I
hmm
I haven't won yet, but I've come close. My first game, I came in second place, and I was like, "Wow,
This is
is
easy.
this easy?" And then all of a sudden, I was like 13th, 8th, and I was like, "Never mind, I tried."
Yeah. But the counterpart to Warzone 2 is Warzone Mobile, which is coming out here soon. And it will include some type of multiplayer because we already have Call of Duty Mobile, but now there's Warzone Mobile that has multiplayer built into it. And this is a way to, I guess, practice for the Battle Royale mode. And there's two confirmed maps so far: TV Station from COD 4 and Scrapyard from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original one.
Scrapyard's super good.
Yeah, so
I
those are
love
two. Yeah,
Scrapyard.
those are two big returning maps, very iconic to the series. So I'm really curious though, like why are we gonna have a COD Mobile and then COD Warzone Mobile with
Why do
multiplayer
we
in it?
have like 7 COD games? Can't we just get like
One,
one unified platform?
right? Well, you see what happens with the whole thing they have now with Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. It's like it's one platform, but it's two separate games. But if you load one, it's thinking you're in the other, and then you can't invite them because it thinks you're in this one, but you're over here. And like it's just fix your fucking game, Rito. Right?
Yeah, Rito. The meme
Yeah,
never
the
dies.
meme never dies. But enough Call of Duty here. Let's move on to our Xbox news. Nothing too big here for once, I should say, other than the industry news. But Forza Horizon 5 had an interesting issue this week. They had to shut down the auction house because players managed to trash the economy of the game. Basically, players were found this thing where you can have infinite money by completing a Super 7 challenge, and then the super rich people who did this were buying up everything on the auction house and then reselling them on the auction house way above MSRP. So like the average player who's just casually playing the game could never buy anything to complete their car collection because they could never make that much money, I guess, or put in that effort enough time to do it. So they took that offline and they're reworking it and seeing how they can filter that kind of stuff out and prevent that
They're
from
gonna have
happening.
to band the prices, like, rubber
Yeah,
band them around MSRP.
yeah, they're gonna
It's
be like,
just
this car can only be this much.
honestly, this is an issue in every multiplayer game. We saw it.
Yeah,
It's one of the reasons why Amazon Studios game died. It's why their multiplayer MMO is just
yeah.
isn't really a thing anymore. It's because people find a way to destroy the economy and then it chases everyone out who isn't like eat, sleep, and breathe this game.
Right. Like if I wanted to hop in because I already beat everything Forza Horizon 5 has to offer other than the DLC, and if I just wanted to work on collecting cars, and I would get to a
You
point
can't.
where I can only get the car from the auction house, I can't get it. So it just sucks. But other news in Xbox, the company called Hyperkin, which um, revealed that they're making the official Xbox 360 replica controller for the Xbox and PC, and this has the next gen share button on it as well. So that's a pretty cool feature. None, especially because the Elite controllers don't have this share button that I talk about all the time. But now we're getting a 360 controller that will have this lovely share button. But these are the same guys that made the old Duke controller from the original Xbox when they made that
Mhm.
replica of it as well, and it'll be like the wireless, no cords or anything like that. But it does have USB-C if you do want to hook it up as well.
Cool.
So that's right around the corner. But that is all of our news this week. Didn't have any rumors or leaks, pretty much other than the whole Verdansk one with Call of Duty Warzone. But we definitely want to thank everyone who did check us out live today on Twitch and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Roger, where can the viewers find you at?
Hey guys, if you really want to find me, I'm on Twitch and Twitter. On Twitch, I am lunatic underscore oblivion, and on Twitter, it's lunatic oblivion with no underscore.
And of course, you could check me over at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin underscore Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. If you want to party up, play some Call of Duty, hit me up on there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Questions, concerns, you want to come on the show, make sure you hit me up on there. And of course, I'm streaming over at my Twitch at Mr. Never Chillin'. Right now, I'm playing a Plague Tale Requiem on Wednesday through Friday, starting at 6 o'clock. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 from Monday through Friday, starting at about 10 o'clock. I may stream earlier some days, just depending on how it goes, but you could definitely catch me out over there. But we definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.
Peace.